Welcome. The purpose of this video is to trace lineage back to the Baker line to the Mayflower, which we discovered yesterday through doing some following some leads, and we'll hope to explain that. We see that Thomas Sherman married Lydia Wilcox, and there's the Wilcox line back to Richard Warren and Elizabeth Walker, who we've discovered were on the Mayflower through some books that we pulled out that were attached to some FamilySearch family tree entries for individuals on their detail page. So the page that we found this on, if I remember correctly, is Richard Warren. And there's lots of notes written. And since we know about this Mayflower family, it's very important that when you are tracing wonderful ideas like being related to someone on the Mayflower, that you really dissect the hints in detail so that you leave solid evidence for those that follow, and you can prove it. Of course, I was excited to see that there was a find a grave, and all I had to do was click on that URL, which the church probably gave a hint, and Chris, our relative, added that in just earlier this year in May. And there's that site, no picture of the individual, but there are some lineages that we could follow up and down. As I've told you before, I click on the lineage and make sure it's all in FamilySearch and that we have as much information as we can get. And so when I discovered some more information, I added a note, and that made it easy whenever we're going back and forth again to find out if we have all our facts correct and if there's any stone left unturned, as the cliche says. The way that I found this, I put the URL link in. It wasn't a hyperlink. It was just a line of code. But what I did was I found a clue, and as James Tanner, who is a missionary working through BYU Family History, says, he has long presentations. His first thing is to just search it on the web. So there we go. I put in Richard Warren by copying the first part of the name, and then the first hit is the Mayflower, and I discovered there are all of these things written about him. And there's some photos that we could research in detail and add to family tree and make our family tree experience richer. There's a tombstone in the memories, but I don't believe there are any photos. And again, see the reason that I open all the tabs, because it takes a while for that to open. I did pull up these documents. They are very interesting. If we didn't like this photo, we click on the photo and we can set our preferences, as we've discussed. And so that's how I began my search. There's other ways to do searching, and I'll bring those out for any genealogical research. You just want to go out to the web and just do a simple search, see if it's out there, see if we can figure out more details by a web page, a blog, a new book that's available. And that's where we got this information, was from a new book. Let's see. The page that I found the most valuable that I wanted to pull out was this review. Oh, there's the more. That's what I was looking for, to try to open it. And it talks about why they really believe that he is the one. And the reason we didn't know previously for the other two books that we have for our Baker lineage was because just recently new information has been digitized and made available on the internet. So how did I find the book? I saw that there was such a book. I looked 4 or 5 different ways. I spent maybe 45 minutes looking for it. So as we've talked about before, under FamilySearch Family Tree, And every family tree is called family tree, and I'll do a video on what presentations the church has done. The FamilySearch organization under intellectual properties has presented, Intellectual Reserve has presented the tree, and the fact that we don't feel like it's complete. One of the reasons now is because it's being translated into so many different languages. If you click on the sitemap, you'll see at the bottom all the different languages. So I came to this page, under search and books. Now, another place besides searching just a Google search on the web is to come to search and wiki. And all those articles that used to say how to research in North Carolina when places were divided, so you know which courthouse to go to, the real genealogical research is in the wiki. There's a ton of information there. I don't yet understand the wiki. I have not yet been successful in navigating through it, but I can use the catalog and used to use it in detail. And so I put in the title, Descendants, and I had to abbreviate it. I had to back up and take off Rhode Island because for some reason it gave me these weird red error marks. And we see that there's 5 results, and the second one is this John Comar, who've not yet researched to figure out if he's still alive. And as many times as I've begged, we still don't have a I know librarians keep it when you do cataloging as a library, because I have a master's in library science. There's different entries that you always do. One of them is chronological data of when this item was added to this repository. But we'll work on that. So I don't know how long ago. With this individual, you can tell this person was born in 1917. I don't know that much about him. They didn't put that in the notes. So back to the presentation. So when I click on that link, it's right here. And you see, you can just click here and open a digital version of that, which I did. And here is that digital version. And I've saved this link so that you can copy it and paste it into a location field and find this again. And here is a page that is in the book, and I've not read the book yet, but I have gone through and tried to find our names. One thing of interest from previous information that I've posted on the web is there's a monument. Let's see how I can move this around. Seems to be broken right now. A monument that shows our Revolutionary War soldiers. If I find a location for this, when I go back to our relative Thomas, which is back a page, we can add Thomas, find a grave information, or just a location note to show that we did find at least a monument, a tribute to him. So that's more research that needs to be followed up on to add valuable data into our brief evaluation of our family, the place where we put notes to find more information. And when I get this all clarified, I will go back to our first Baker relative, which you know who that is, and I will put links to this information so that it's hard to go up the trail if you don't know exactly, if you don't know how we go to off on the mother's lines to find these wonderful links. In my genealogy, there are tons of kings, and 5 or 6 people go all the way back to Adam, and it takes a long time to search through those. So that's how I find these videos valuable in saving the information. So one thing that I do in some of my work, I worked as a research librarian for the National Laboratory. I had to scan documents and then clean up the OCR. And that OCR is Optical Character Index. I don't know what it stands for. OCR. Oh, recognition. And so I knew that if the reason you want to do that is I did for the attorneys, was so they could open up a document, or just through, they could search them all at one time. You'd just do the search and you'd find everything that talked about a certain issue or a certain person or whatever. So the person I looked at was Simon Baker, son of Benjamin and Rebecca Thorne. And remember that O.C. Yaring looks at the character and says, well, this is what I think that is. And you know what? I don't think you see the page that I'm on. So I will pause, or maybe I'm done, because my little image is gone. Let's see. Recorder launched. But anyway, I go through that last bit of information and I make sure that I see that I make sure that I see every instance of where Simon was in the book, and then there was a lot of important information about what they believe happened in the family. And we can compare that across books. If we go back to that catalog page, we see that Baker, Amenzo White Baker, who wrote the first book, shared a copy in FamilySearch catalog. And we could look at this record, which I have not yet done. If we searched a different way, we could also see the Sorensen version of the book. And the reason I found the Baker Alonzo, he's from Mendon County, and the reason that I found that one was because in the preface to the Sorensen book, Baker and Collateral Branches is this book. Can't think of the title of hers right now. It said in the previous book, and this is the somethingth anniversary of it. And so that got me to searching for this, and I do have a copy of both of those. You remember that earlier this year in the spring, Wayne made it so that we could get a CD of that second book. So in review today, we have discovered through FamilySearch, Family Tree Note, that we have a relative that was on the Mayflower, and that story is wonderful. I hope that you'll pull it out and read it. And I have retraced for you the information that tells you how I got to find the book and how I'm sharing that with you. Max and I did read quite a bit of the book yesterday, and we heard instances of Ethan Allen, and you might remember him from history. So when our grandchildren and everyone does research in history, it's nice to know where our relatives participated in those endeavors. And that's the main reason that I think FamilySearch Family Tree is so valuable. It's so much easier than it's ever been to click on links and discover your relatives. And you do not have to be a genealogist to do this. You do not have to have an education to understand it. All you have to have is patience and dedication to click on notes and the ability to sort of remember where you've been. It's good to write scientific logs of the progress, but it's not vital. As you can tell, I don't do that. I'm not disciplined enough, but I can find and share important information about our relatives and the research work that's done. And I hope that you will participate and find joy in this. And thank you for listening. Again, please share with us any tips and hints that you would like to have covered. I have listened endlessly the last year to those hour-long presentations by James Tanner on YouTube. You can just search his name. Also the Ancestry, the Barefoot Genealogist, she goes into detail, and I try to add in these videos the tips that I've learned from listening to them. Thanks and happy searching. Bye.